Trump directly participated in the attack on our democracy on January 6, 2021. And time's running out. Trump has until January 4th, next Thursday, to appeal, a day before Colorado certifies the candidates ahead of the state's March 5th primary. And Trump's team has vowed to swiftly appeal. The former president taking a dark turn on Christmas Eve, ranting online about the Colorado ruling, calling it a, quote, political delusion, marking Christmas by calling for his enemies to, quote, rot in hell. In the meantime, the FBI says it's investigating reports of violent threats against the Colorado justices who decided the Trump case. They say they're working with local law enforcement to vigorously pursue all threats. I'm joined now by Judge Ladouris Hazard Cordell, who spent many years on the bench in California's Superior Court. Judge, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight. I think, we might have expected threats given the environment that we're in, which is alarming in itself. But how worried are you about these threats?
Well, Brianna, all judges have an obligation to make decisions without fear or favor. But just 1 year ago, Chief Justice John Roberts used his annual year-end report to address the fear that judges face today. And what he said was, part of it, a judicial system cannot and should not live in fear. He was right. And the reason he said it then, and it was actually a year ago today, he said it because of threats of violence against the courts in 2022. So what did Congress do? Congress enacted a law that expanded security to family members of the U.S. Supreme Court justices. That's a good thing, but it's not enough. And just ask the 4 Colorado Supreme Court justices who ruled that the 14th Amendment makes Trump ineligible to run. They now have targets on their robes. And I saw some of the online posts aimed at them, that it was especially violent. Things like kill judges, behead judges, roundhouse, kick a judge into the concrete. And so it just brings us back to the fact that Trump's statements that politicize the courts and attack judges, they're the key drivers of this violent rhetoric. The man has made fear the new normal for judges in America. And the normalization of this violent rhetoric, plus, in my view, the lack of remedial action by social media platforms are really the key and the core to the problem. So what Trump should, but he won't, tell his followers that these violent threats, the violence against judges are not acceptable and they should stand back and stand down. Now that would be the mature and patriotic thing to do, but he's neither mature nor patriotic.
He doesn't do that. He doesn't lower the temperature. I mean, even when we see people do that on social media, they post something, someone goes after someone else on their social media platform. They're very careful to go out of their way. Of course, he does not do that. Are you worried, and this may be a separate issue, that that kind of thing could actually have a chilling effect on judges, on people involved in the legal process, or do you think they just tune it out?
Brianna, you have really hit the major issue. I believe, well, let me put it this way. Imagine what the U.S. Supreme Court justices would think if they were inclined to affirm the Colorado Supreme Court's decision. I'll tell you what they think. They'd think, good Lord, threats and violence against me are going to ramp up. So why put myself and my family in harm's way, even if it's the right thing to do, and even if it's the constitutional thing to do? So when that happens, when it's no longer fear of God, but fear of mob, when judges' fears trump their oaths to the Constitution, our judiciary and our democracy, it's almost on its deathbed. So yes, in fact, these threats of violence, these are human beings in black robes. These threats of violence actually go to the core of their very being. And of course, they're going to react to it. They're not just going to slop it off and say, oh, no, no big deal. And this is happening to judges on the federal courts, but all throughout the country, on the state courts as well. That is my concern. So go right ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I definitely want to ask you before our segment is over about election subversion and the indictments that former President Trump is facing, and his legal team is citing right now his acquittal by the Senate in his second impeachment trial following January 6th, claiming that Trump has already been tried for the same and closely related conduct. When you look at that argument, does that really fly to you as a double jeopardy claim?
It is not, in fact, double jeopardy. It is not, in fact, legally double jeopardy. They are two distinct proceedings. They have different burdens of proof. So, no, that's again, it's just grasping for straws and it has no merit whatsoever. So, good luck to them on that because it's not going to happen. The bigger issue is whether or not he can be prosecuted, and his position is, well, he's just immune because he had a position as president and that's it. That is the key issue, not double jeopardy.
Yes, and we'll see that go before the appeals court. Ultimately, we expect maybe back to the Supreme Court, and we'll see how that all goes. Judge, it's great to see you again. Thanks for being with us.
Sure. Thank you.
And joining us now with more on the former president's legal troubles and how this affects him politically, we have Democratic strategist and CNN political commentator